Hey guys, how are you doing? I am back with another video and I don't even know what the title of this one is. This video is very unscripted and will hopefully come under my hashtag outside the hairbox category. As I mentioned in my greeting, my New Year greeting, I want to do one of these every month because I want to speak about things outside of hair care. So I am speaking about the period when I left university. I left university in May of 2014 and you don't know me, so you would not know that I am a planner. I plan everything down to the last detail. I really wish I could have executed everything as I planned it because I planned so well. And of course, because I am a planner and I did not know what I was going to go into, and the Caribbean islands were facing some economic challenges at that period, I was quite worried and quite anxious. Faith isn't my strongest point, sadly, but I'm working on it. And so I ended up getting a job. I ended up working at that job for quite a few months, probably 9 months or so. And then something traumatic happened at that job. In hindsight, I can say that this traumatic happening occurred because God had already spoken to me and asked me to return to my island, St. Lucia. But of course, they know me. I think I know everything and I am not listening. I have some direction that I want my life to take. And I've already seen that the economic situation in St. Lucia is not good. So I stayed in Trinidad. So when this thing happened, I decided that I was not going to return to work at that place. I did not care to do that. So in deciding that, I ended up deciding that I was going to return home because my parents are here and I would not have to think about paying a rent. So even if I was employed in St. Lucia, I would have somewhere to stay and somebody to lean on. In Trinidad, I was on my own. I mean, my friends in Trinidad are super supportive. Even to this day, they are super supportive. But there is no place like home, especially in tragic times. So I returned home, and guys, I don't know if you've been to university and you've done with university and you have to return home, even if it's not in a different island, I'm sure you've experienced this rough transition period, because you've more than likely been on your own, living on your own at university. And for me, I had gone into working and making my own money and deciding how I spent my money and deciding how I did everything. I had nobody to answer to. So just naturally, coming back home was a bit of a transition for me. I wanted to do for myself. I figured, okay, my parents have already sent me to university, so now I really should not be depending on them. And I was not getting a job right away, so that affected me. And again, if you've returned home from university, you would realize, or some of you may have experienced this, where nothing is the same. Your relationships are not the same. Even for me at church, my relationships were not the same. I did not feel as comfortable as when I left, because again, people have moved on with their lives. You've been away for 3-4 years, so you're really coming to try and fit yourself in again. And fitting in for me was not as easy as it might be for somebody else. So I came back home, and the very things that I banked on, they failed me. It is in hindsight that I can say that I experienced a brief period of feeling depressed. I experienced what I would probably call situational depression, and I found myself pretty much at rock bottom. And what I wanted to come out from me sharing this little story is God works with rock bottom. He actually loves working with rock bottom because it is the prime environment for him to work. He can come and be a savior, and he can come in and be a restorer, and he can come in and rescue us when we're at rock bottom, because at this point we're actually looking for salvation. He can come and be a provider and a friend and a comforter, because we're looking for these things at that time. And when things are going great in our lives, where our lives are full, we tend to subtract him and fill our lives with other things. So these periods are important for our growth. Also, in speaking, I was reminded of this verse, and I will read it to you. And it is taken from 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. And it says, "Each time he said, 'My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness.' So now I am glad to boast about my weakness, so that the power of Christ can work through me." Be encouraged. If you're going through such a period right now, be encouraged that one, nothing lasts for forever. So this period will pass away. I also want to encourage you that this may be your greatest period of growth. And I refer to 2015 as my period of accelerated growth. I have not seen growth in my life as I did after my period of trials in 2015. So, as with gold, for it to become pure, it has to be placed above heat, above high temperatures, so that the impurities would melt away. And that is pretty much what God is doing with us. He is described as a refining fire, and that's what He's doing with us. He places us above high temperatures so that the impurities would melt away from us, that the impurities will come to the surface and be removed from us. And this is what, if you treat your trials and your tribulations and your troubles well, they will result in growth. And the final thing, allow God to use this experience to increase your faith in Him. Because essentially that is what He's trying to do. We lean on everything else but God. We try to find solutions and He's our last resort. So sometimes He needs to make everything around us fail so that we can look to Him and say, okay, God, I need your help. God, I need your guidance. I need your intervention, because nothing else can work. And I just read a devotional passage and it said, faith is wanting to be with Jesus in the storm rather than being on the shore without Him. So know that if you are with Jesus in this storm of your life, that you are better off than not having this period of trials and tribulations without Jesus. He really has our best interest at heart. And that is something that 2015 taught me. God really has my best interest at heart. And because of that, He has to teach me certain things for where He's taking me. So treat your period of trials like what they're supposed to be. Treat them as the learning experience, as the lesson that they're supposed to be. And guys, you will be thankful for this period a little later. If I did not go through 2015, I would not be a go-getter. I would not be as confident. I would not be assured and persuaded that He has my back and that He has my best interest at heart. I would not have a YouTube channel. I would not care what people think. I would not be as vocal about my faith. So guys, I hope that this is as an encouragement for you if you are going through a rough period right now. If you're going through a period of trials right now, please share what you're using to get through this period. I used music, and I also used the encouragement and the support from my family, and I used the promises of God from His word. And if you've overcome and you've been victorious after a season of trials and tribulations, let us know what you used. Let us know what worked for you so that other people can use these methods and techniques to get through their periods of tribulation.